There have been a lot of questions on what the Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches on homosexuality. And so this can be found in Part 3, Life in Christ, Section 2, the Ten Commandments, Chapter 2, You Shall Love Your Neighbor as Yourself. And as you scroll down, you can see it goes into the vocation of chastity, and the different forms of chastity, and then the offenses against chastity, and then we go into chastity and homosexuality. And before we start, I just highlighted the section that says those with homosexual tendencies must be accepted with respect, compassion, and sensitivity. So remember, it's important to keep clear the concepts of what love truly is. In the Catechism, it speaks about how love is to will the good of the other. And to also remember who we are. We are beloved children of God. And I sometimes I'll speak with some of my friends in college. They struggled with these homosexual tendencies, and it's just to remember who you are is you're beloved children of God. And so it's important to remember that because we were made to love and for love. So we were made, to will the good of the other. And so it speaks more about how homosexuality refers to the relations between men and women who experience an exclusive or predominant sexual attraction towards persons of the same sex. It has taken a great variety of forms through the centuries in different cultures. Its psychological genesis remains largely unexplained, basing itself on the sacred scripture, which presents homosexual acts as acts of great depravity. And if you go down, it'll tell you the passages of scripture where that will be found. Tradition has always declared that homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered and they are contrary to the natural law. They close the sexual act to the gift of life. They do not proceed from a genuine, effective, and sexual complementarity, and under no circumstances can they be approved. The number of men and women who have deep-seated homosexual tendencies is not negligible. This inclination, which is objectively disordered, constitutes for most of them a trial. And so that's another important thing to keep in mind, is that there's been a shift, recently that says that there's no objective truth. And so this is, obviously it makes no sense. It's not reasonable or logical to say that your truth is your truth and my truth is my truth, because there has to be an objective truth. It's the sky's blue. It's an objective truth. It's not green for me. It doesn't make sense, though, relativism. And so it's important to realize that there is an objective truth that we need to conform our minds to, and that God is our Father that made us. He knows what's best for us, and He's our loving Father. And so he wills our good. He wills what's good for us. And so that's actually the reason why God hates sin, because sin's bad for us. Sin is an offense against God. It's bad for us. It hurts us. And He's our loving Father, and He wants what's best for us. And so that's another important thing to keep in mind. Anybody who is struggling with this, it's important just to really talk about it with God, because He's the one that can really help you. With anything that you're going through in your life, any wound in your heart, just to really speak with God about it, because He's the one that can ultimately heal it better than anybody else can. And so it says that every sign of unjust discrimination in their regard should be avoided. These persons are called to fulfill God's will in their lives, and if they are Christians, to unite to the sacrifice of the Lord's cross the difficulties they may encounter from their condition. So homosexual persons are called to chastity by the virtue of self-mastery that teach them inner freedom, at times by the support of disinterested friendship, by prayer and sacramental grace. They can and should gradually and resolutely approach Christian perfection. And so remember, all of us are called to some degree of chastity. Even married couples are called to a certain degree of chastity, and a higher degree for priests and religious and consecrated virgins. And so it's just important to remember that. Also freedom, to remember how St. John Paul II does an excellent job with clarifying concepts, and to realize that freedom, it's not doing whatever I want, but freedom is serving Christ. Freedom is to love. and so it's important to really be clear on those concepts, and to be clear on who we are as beloved children of God, and that's, we have a certain dignity, and because of that. And so just with all this, just to take it to prayer, especially if you know someone who is struggling with this, or any struggle in your life, any challenge that you face, really anything, just speak to the Lord about it, speak to God about it, because He wants to have that personal relationship with you, that one-on-one talking, because He's your loving Father. And so anything, even if you're not sure about what this teaches, just pour your cares upon Him, because He cares for you. Those are the words of the sacred scriptures. It's God cares for you so tenderly, like His own child. And so really speak to Him about everything and what's on your heart, and just allow Him to heal your wounds, and to enter into your heart, and to speak to you about His truth. Allow Him to reveal to you, to your heart, what's good for you. And so I just count on my prayers. If you need any other have any questions, feel free to message me, and you're in my prayers. God bless you.